From the field to the film room to the war room, we've got you covered every step of the way as the road to the draft starts right now. Welcome to the Chalkboard, my fellow football nerds, for episode number 51 of Chalk Talk, brought to you by the Painted Lines. I'm your host, Shane Half, and you can follow me on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. I'm joined today by the godfather of the Painted Lines. It is Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how are you doing today?
I've been better. It was daddy daycare the last 2 days here at our house, dealing with a sick 2-year-old. Sure enough, she's better. Now I'm freaking sick. So I'm going to try and bring the energy, but if I can't, that's why.
It is the cycle of parenting. The kids get sick and then they infect us. And so, hopefully Dibes feels better. But the plus side here is laying up sick in bed. It gives Dibes a lot of time to grind film. And so we're going to reflect that here in our podcast. We hope. I'm going to try to bring the energy, which is a flip from normal where I'm your X's and O's guy. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to play a little role reversal here, but we've got a great show lined up for you guys today. We are breaking down the safety class, a class that has one elite top-end guy, has some really good day two talent. It's a position that the Eagles, I have pounded the table. I fall in love with the safety every year in the draft, and the Eagles never draft them. They always turn out to be good. And it's driven me crazy for the last 5 years. So maybe this is the year with 3 first-round picks with the second rounder that the Eagles finally pick up a safety. But we're going to get into that, and we're just going to start it off here. We're going to go from number 5 to number 1, and then we'll throw in some honorable mentions, some guys who just missed the cut, or maybe some day 3 sleeper prospects. So Dibes, and before Dibes goes here, we do have Mark's top 5 list. We don't have Mark. So it's an improvement from our running back podcast. We do have his list. And so maybe I'll try to do my best Mark impression. In reality, I'm probably just going to name his guys. So Dibes, you kick us off here. Who is your running back 5 or running back? I'm on the running backs. Who is your safety 5?
Safety number 5 for me is Lewis Cine out of Georgia. And just to kind of go back a little bit before we go into Lewis Cine, I agree. I think this group, this top 5 is really talented, and I think all 5 of these guys are among the same grade, other than Kyle Hamilton. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but it's a really strong group this year. And Lewis Cine is one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft. First and foremost, this is a guy who was absolutely dominant in that national championship game against Alabama. He had 7 tackles. 6 of those were solo. Any casual watching the national championship game would easily see that this guy was all over the football, all over the field. I think this is a solid athlete. He can do damage against the run and play in the slot or the outside in the passing game. I like the toughness that he brings, especially in the box against the run. I think he's got really good length. He's got really good versatility. He had a 4.37 40-yard dash at the combine, a broad jump of 11.1, and I just think this is one of the best athletes. When you watch tape, man, he brings it, and he's a fun watch for sure. I think this might be my number 5 safety prospect. That being said, I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade like that. I could see this guy easily being not just number 5 selected in this safety group, but maybe 2 or 3, and in that back end of round 1. Really, really good prospect.
All right. Well, Lewis Cine is not my safety 5. He is my safety 4. I'm just going to talk about him here and piggyback off of what Dibes said. So last season, he had 73 tackles for that historic Georgia defense, 2 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 9 passes defensed. He did run that 4.37 40, like Dibes talked about at the combine. So he's got elite speed. He came in with a 9.9 raw athletic score, one of the top in the class, one of the top at the safety position since it's been tracked over the last 20 years. So this is a guy who has good size. He's got elite athleticism at the position. The number one thing that stands out for me with Cine is that he is a hard tackler. He's a hard hitter. And he's not just a guy that will come up and lower the boom, but he's a sure tackler. He doesn't sacrifice his ability to bring people down, going for the big hits. He's an aggressive run defender. He triggers downfield into run gaps really well. And he's not one of those guys, you have guys that can only tackle in traffic. You get them out in the open field and they're a little susceptible to the misses, especially the guys that try to line you up for the kill shots. That's not Cine. He's really good in the open field. He'll still lower the boom on you. At Georgia, they moved him around a little bit. He played in the slot some, but he is a safety. He does not, in my opinion, he doesn't have the versatility that some of the guys in this class do. The flexibility, the fluidity in his hips and in and out of his transition, I think is a little prohibitive to him playing in the slot in the NFL. He is going to be great in the box. Like I said, great run defender. The other knock I have, and the flexibility thing, the versatility thing, I don't think that's a knock. I mean, you need a safety. And so while we're going to talk about some of these other guys and they can play will linebacker, they can play corner, they can play in the slot, that's all well and good. But if you just need a safety, Lewis Cine is a great guy. I'm not really knocking him for the versatility, the lack thereof. But the one thing that I do think slides him down a little bit is he just doesn't have the best ball skills. Through 3 years at Georgia, he only brought in 2 interceptions. He does get his hand on a lot of passes. He had 9 pass breakups this year. He only brought in 1 interception. And so if you want a guy that's going to make flashy plays, cause those turnovers, he might not be your guy. But he is going to be a great run defender. He's going to be a terrific athlete on the back end of your defense. And so I've got Cine as my safety 4. Let me talk about my safety 5, though, and then I'll throw it back to Dibes. My safety 5 is out of Baylor, Jalen Pitre. He had 75 tackles this year, 18.5 tackles for loss, which is just absurd for a safety. He had 3.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 7 passes defensed, 3 fumble recoveries, 3 forced fumbles. So just a terrific player, makes a lot of plays. At the combine, he did not participate in the 40. We don't have a pro day time for him yet. And so he had a raw athletic score of a 6.41, which is largely brought down based on his lack of size. He's fairly small for the position, sub 200 pounds, and he had a lower end bench and vertical. Now, I'm not really concerned about that. This guy's fast on film, and I think a 40 time would bring that up. He has tremendous versatility. At Baylor, he played safety, he played deep middle, he played split field, he played inside linebacker, he played will linebacker. They put him in the slot sometimes. He has an extremely high football IQ. Like, he played all these different positions at Baylor, and he played them really well. And it takes tremendous football knowledge to be able to change positions, period, much less doing it on a snap-by-snap basis. He is a solid tackler. He's not as good of a tackler as Cine. He's a solid tackler. He is a hard hitter, but he's got phenomenal range in the running game. So in the running game, he's really good at triggering from deep, filling those gaps. That range doesn't show up in the passing game that I could tell. I don't think he is ready to be a single high safety in the NFL, but I think that ability could develop. And I'm not exactly sure what it is. I can't put my finger on it because I said he's a high football guy. He's got range, but it just doesn't translate to the passing game yet. I'm not sure if he's just hesitant to trigger on those when he's the last line of defense, but that is something that I saw on film that I thought could be better for him down the road. So he's my safety 4. He was my safety 5. Cine was my safety 4. Dibes, who do you have as your safety 4?
Safety 4 is Daxton Hill, and I did these rankings a long time ago. I could easily, again, see Daxton Hill being safety number 2 in this class if the draft was tomorrow. He's definitely generating a lot of buzz, but this guy just thrives when he's close to the line of scrimmage. He plays with a lot of physicality in the run game. He's got good strength. He's an aggressive tackler. I think he's best when he's working with what's in front of him. I think he's definitely on the smaller side. You see the numbers right there. But I think this is one of the prospects with some of the most elite athleticism, change of direction, and versatility in this entire draft. It did not shock me at all to see Daxton Hill completely shred the combine. He had a 4.38 40, which ranked 14th overall at the combine. He had a 20-yard shuffle of 4.06 seconds, a 3-cone drill of 6.57 seconds. And that was the best out of all the safeties in this class. So Daxton Hill is a terrific athlete. I might have my number one in a tier above everyone else, but when I look at all these safeties, especially in this 2 to 5 range, I see rounds 1 through 2 grades on all of these guys. Daxton Hill explodes when you watch the tape, especially even blitzing the quarterback. Just an extremely elite athlete. Love this kid.
I actually saw Hill play in high school. He went to Booker T High School in Tulsa, and so I actually got to see him play at one of his high school games way back in the day. So, awesome. Eagles, call me up. I'm out here scouting Oklahoma football for you guys. So, Hill will show up on my list in a moment, but my safety 3 is going to be Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State. Had 63 tackles this year, 6 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 5 passes defensed, and 1 fumble recovery. He ran a 4.49 40 at the combine, which isn't like the elite numbers we've been talking about, but I'm here to tell you anything sub 4.5 for a safety is really good. And so don't let, the absurd athleticism in this class make you think Brisker is not athletic. He had a 9.01 raw athletic score, which again is just elite athleticism. He is an explosive athlete, but he's not, I don't think he doesn't have elite straight line speed. I mean, 4.49 is not elite, but he's very explosive. Yeah. He's highly versatile. He played single high at Penn State. He played in the box. They used him in the slot. In my opinion, at the NFL, single high wouldn't be his best usage because he is so good in the run game. I don't think you want him having no run fit responsibilities. So I think you want him as a split field safety, or you want him as your guy in the box because he fills those gaps so well. He deconstructs blocks really well. For a lot of safeties, they'll try to go fill their gap and they'll get washed out when a lineman gets their hands on him. And that's just not Brisker. He's able to deconstruct those blocks. He's able to chop the hands away and get through and go make a play. Now, he did struggle as a tackler this season. The biggest knock for him. Reportedly, he had a shoulder injury that he played through, and I have not heard really anything about that other than those reports. So medical checks are going to be a big deal for Brisker. And then extrapolating from those medical checks, is that why he struggled as a tackler this year? I mean, if the only reason you struggled as a tackler is your shoulder was hurt and you couldn't really use it, I'm not as concerned about that as long as the medicals check out. So you have to parse that out. You've got to go back and look into those things, which obviously we can't do. But Jaquan Brisker, I think, is a really high upside guy as long as the tackling and the shoulder things work themselves out.
Well said. Well said. Couldn't agree more.
All right, so let me recap our top 3 here. I forgot I was going to mention Mark's. Mark has Kirby Joseph as 5, Lewis Cine as 4, Jaquan Brisker at 3. I had Jalen Pitre at 5, Lewis Cine at 4, Jaquan Brisker at 3, and Dibes had Lewis Cine 4, Lewis Cine 5, Daxton Hill 4. Wait,
Jalen.
Did you have? I either punched it in wrong or you went.
No, I have Jalen Pitre number 3 on my list.
Yeah. Oh, did you not? Okay, all right, go ahead. I'm getting confused. Mark apparently brings the structure to this show.
No, I love this kid, man. Jalen Pitre, just one of the true standouts of the Senior Bowl a couple of months ago. I think he shines against the run, just flies all over the field, has plus range, has plus closing speed. Just when you watch the tape, you'll see him just disrupt screens on the regular. Against the pass, he does a really good job getting his hands up for pass breakups. You look at he's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of this safety class. Like, he can really do it all. When it comes to like getting to the quarterback, he had 25 total quarterback pressures last season. That was the most by a quarterback in the PFF era since 2014. You nailed it about Pitre. Like, he was a defensive back linebacker hybrid while at Baylor. And this is one of my favorite day 2 prospects for the Eagles, man. And to be honest, like, if the Eagles are sitting, round 2, round 3, and that guy's available and the Eagles pass on him, we're going to have big problems. I might be rioting during the show. I love Jalen Pitre. Like, he doesn't have the true kind of A to B speed, but he's just way more explosive than that.
Well, as someone who has fallen into this trap every year that I can remember.
I know, yeah.
Just prepare yourself.
I know, I remember, yeah.
There's so many of those guys. Justin Reed just signed with the Chiefs. He was one of the big ones that I just fell in love with a couple of years ago. Jeremy Chin, I loved Jeremy Chin.
Oh, I was so high on Chin, yeah.
There's so many of these guys. Okay, let's roll on here. My safety 2 in this class, somehow I got ahead of you and I'm going first now. I don't know, is Daxton Hill.
Nice.
Dibes already talked about this guy. He's out of Michigan. Had 69 tackles last year, 4.5 tackles for loss. He got a half a sack. So if you need an edge rusher, don't draft Hill, but maybe he'll get a half a sack for you. Had 2 interceptions, 8 passes defensed, and he had 1 fumble recovery. He was a 5-star recruit out of my home state of Oklahoma. Like I said, I got to see him play a game in high school. He ran a 4.39 40 at the combine and has a 9.03 raw athletic score. So again, you can just see elite athleticism all across this class. He's a good open field tackler, but one of the things I did notice on tape is he can struggle to bring down bigger backs and sometimes tight ends just due to his size. He's on the lower end of the size scheme. He does have excellent range from being a single high. And so if you're a cover 3 based team, cover 1, this is the guy that you want. He's the guy that can roam midfield for you. He can make plays from number to number. This is the guy that fits that best. He's a fluid mover in space, tough player with a high motor. And so he is undersized, but he plays bigger than that frame should allow him to. He's not going to back down from these big power backs. He might not bring them down, but he's not going to back down. He's going to at least slow them down, and hopefully you get somebody else there to help clean up the tackles. He did play a lot in the slot at Michigan as well, and so you can move him around some there as well. He's not a guy you're going to want to put in the box. He's not going to be a strong safety in a cover 1-3 scheme. He's going to be your free safety. But he can handle himself okay. I think, between him, I think one of these guys, obviously our number 1, he's going day 1. I think one of Jaquan Brisker and Daxton Hill are also going in round 1. And I think it just comes down to what that team wants from the safety position. Are they going to be more of the split field team or the single high team? And I really think that's going to be the difference between Hill and Brisker in their draft slots. Okay, that's my safety 2. Dives, why don't you tell me about your safety 2? Who do you have here?
I mean, you already talked about him, Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State. For me, just tons of talent, great measurables, 6'1", 203 pounds. You look at this guy, just a physical safety, thrives in the box. He can blitz between the tackles. He can blitz on the edge. He can stop the run. He's got really good burst and lateral quickness. He's got really good range too for someone his size. What I love the most about Jaquan Brisker is just the fluidity in his movement. Like, he's got really natural hips. He's got really good body control and balance. At the combine, you nailed it, like a 4.49 in the 40-yard dash. Then he got injured and then kind of shut it down from there. But great in coverage, man coverage for sure. And per Pro Football Focus, didn't allow a single reception. 110 man coverage snaps last year. He had an 82.9 coverage grade, which was number 1 in the Big Ten. Jaquan Brisker is an absolute stud. I could, again, see in that mid to late first round or especially round 2. Just love this kid. I picked him on my mock draft last night. Love to see this kid in Midnight Green.
Absolutely. All right, so let's roll on to our safety 1. This is going to be the safety 1 for any analyst that you will ever look at. It is Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. Mark really needs to be here to talk about his guy.
I know. This is his guy.
Yeah. I've been doing draft evaluations for, I think this is my 3rd off season. And I mean, I followed the draft a long time before that, but in the 3 years that I've been doing it seriously, I have not evaluated a better defensive prospect than Kyle Hamilton. Now, Hamilton's not going to go 1 overall because of positional value. You're not going to take a safety 1 overall. I don't think. I mean, but in terms of just evaluating the player position aside, he's the best defensive prospect that I've ever looked at in the 3 years that I've been doing it. Dibes, I'll give his stats here, and then I'll let you talk about him first. So this year, he only played in 7 games. His season was shortened by a knee injury. In those 7 games, he had 34 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, 4 passes defensed, and he turned in a 9.29 raw athletic score at the combine. So, Dives, tell me, why are we so high on Kyle Hamilton?
Dude, he's a flat-out stud, man. Just an unreal combination of size, speed, intelligence, and versatility. There was one play where you could literally see him make an interception. He goes from one side of the field to the other and makes an acrobatic interception. I have it on my Twitter account. It's just when you see that kind of stuff at 6'4", 220 pounds, man, it just completely opens your eyes. This guy can dominate in the box. He can stop the run, but like I said, he has that sideline to sideline speed to thrive and punish quarterbacks in coverage. I think he fits this modern defense, modern NFL to a T. I think he's an instant star from day one. 4.59 40 in the 40-yard dash, which was second slowest among the safety class. But in my opinion, the 40-yard dash is like a little bit of a useless barometer when you're talking about a guy at 6'4" with this level of agility. For me personally, Kyle Hamilton is my number 2 prospect overall. I have Tibbs, and then I have Hamilton, and then I go Hutchinson. So obviously I'm super, super high on him. I think he's a lock for the top 10. And if there's like any kind of slide where, he becomes available in that like 8 to 12 range, I will be having fits at the Eagles if they don't, move up and select this guy. I think he is a bona fide playmaker from the jump. The second he puts on an NFL jersey, he's got it all. And I think this is truly one of the, what's the word? No-brainer selections for any NFL team.
Yeah, there's always, every once in a while there's a guy that comes along and you're just like, there's absolutely no bust potential for this guy. And that's Kyle Hamilton. Like I said, best defensive prospect I've ever studied. He's 6'4". I mean, he's literally as tall as Fletcher Cox. And he's playing safety, running all over the field. He's versatile. Notre Dame used him single high in the box, in the slot, outside safety, half field safety. They used him as a blitzer. I mean, this guy, he could literally play any position in the back 7 of your defense. You could put him at inside linebacker if you wanted to. You can use him everywhere. He's got an incredible football IQ. He's a great tackler. He can fit run gaps from the safety position really well. Honestly, the only hole that I can find in his game is I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with like the faster slot wide receivers in man coverage. And when you have a guy that versatile, it's like, well, just don't put him there then. I mean, you don't want him covering Tyreek Hill out of the slot. He's not going to be able to do that. But literally about anything else I think this guy can do. He's an eraser. I mean, you look at – I think when I watch him, I see Derwin James. And I just think back to the Chiefs playing the Chargers early in the season. And what the Chargers did, what their game plan was, is they just put Derwin James on Travis Kelce and said, Travis Kelce doesn't exist in this game anymore. And now we're just going to double team Tyreek Hill everywhere. Like, that's what Kyle Hamilton does for you. You can put him on anybody that doesn't run a 4.3 40, and he's going to be able to take them out of the game. And that's just so incredibly valuable. Now I bring up Derwin James. Derwin James fell all the way to pick 17 before the Chargers got him. You look at a guy last year that we raved about, well, not this podcast because it didn't exist, but on the painted lines that we raved about was Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and he fell to the 2nd round. And so sometimes you see these guys that are so versatile, you see them fall because, honestly, the fact that you build a defense around a guy moving like that, what happens if he's gone? What happens if he's hurt? Whatever. Well, now your whole defense has to change. And so the Eagles utilize Malcolm Jenkins in a lot of roles. Malcolm Jenkins always stayed healthy. Think about what the defense would have looked like if Jenkins went down. And so sometimes that becomes a negative. Who's going to replace this guy if he goes down? And so you do see these guys fall sometimes. Positional value, you might see him fall. There's no way Kyle Hamilton should make it out of the top 10. And honestly, if the Lions do not have the ability to take Aiden Hutchinson, I don't think he makes it past 2.
Yeah. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast, man. When you watch, if you haven't watched Kyle Hamilton, just watch the tape. Please, please, please just watch the tape. Like, he has some of the most unbelievable athletic moments I've ever seen out of a defensive back. Just watch it. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so recapping here from 5 to 1, Mark had Kirby Joseph, Lewis Cine, Jaquan Brisker, Daxton Hill, Kyle Hamilton. I had Jalen Pitre, Lewis Cine, Jaquan Brisker, Daxton Hill, Kyle Hamilton. Dives had the same guys, but in a different order. Lewis Cine, Daxton Hill, Jalen Pitre, Jaquan Brisker, and Kyle Hamilton won. Now that is our top 5. There's some guys that just missed the cut here. Some guys that are also going to be in play in that second and third round. Dives, did you have anybody you wanted to give a shout out to and honorable mentions?
Yeah, my number 6 guy here is Verone McKinley out of Oregon. I've got a day 2 grade on Verone McKinley. I think he's just a huge playmaker, just a turnover machine. Not counting his redshirt season, he has 11 interceptions in just 35 games. That's an interception every third game. Got terrific instincts, super high football IQ. He's versatile enough to line up in man or play deep or underneath the zone. He could do what you want. He didn't run the 40 at the combine, which I think was a mistake. But he did perform 16 reps on the bench press, which is pretty good. It was like 6th among the safety class. And then he's got a 35-inch vert, which was 9th out of the 15 safeties. And the broad jump wasn't very good. It was like 16th out of 17 safeties. But he doesn't have elite speed. But I think this is one of the true center fielders in this class. I think he's tough. I think he's scrappy. I think he's a really kind of a physical safety prospect that's really fun to watch. I'd love to get him in Midnight Green Band on day 2 of the draft. This class is really good. This class is really, really good. And we have a comment from Beach about what Kyle rated the 40. Are you going to take him with? Yes. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. Yes, it wasn't like 4'3", 4'4", but I think with someone that size, you got to kind of change the context just a little bit. But Verone McKinley is really good, man. The Eagles, they need playmakers. They need to start, turning over that ball on that side of the football field. And I think Verone McKinley just has a nose for the ball. He's a knack for the ball, and would be a great addition.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any concerns about Hamilton's 40 time. Maybe I'm not going to use him as a single high safety, but he brings so much value. If I do want to go into a cover 3 look and just have the one guy high, just put him in the box, put somebody else up there, and you'll be fine. So I'm not concerned there. I want to give a shout out to 2 guys in honorable mentions. One's that I think is a day 3 guy, one that I think is probably a third round type of guy. The first guy here is Nick Cross out of Maryland. He had 66 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 3 picks, 2 passes defensed, and 2 forced fumbles last year at Maryland. He ran a 4.34 40 at 6'1", and he had a 9.91 raw athletic score. One of the most athletic safeties in the class. He was used as a single high, a split safety, a slot, and as a will linebacker at Maryland. Maybe if you're going to get a guy like Kyle Hamilton, this can be your backup plan, in case of that injury we were talking about. Now, he doesn't have the best feeling out of route combinations and reacting to those. So I think he would benefit from sticking to one role at the NFL level, especially until he learns it. And I would say his range isn't what it should be with his speed. He takes poor angles to the ball sometimes. He's a big hitter, takes poor angles, so you live and die with that. I think he's like a third round type of a guy. Maybe he sneaks into the 4th round, but Nick Cross, a burner athletically. If you can get that play recognition up, get his play speed to match up with his physical traits, he could be really good. The other one is Jalen Pitre's teammate from Baylor, JT Woods. He ran a 4.36 40 at 6'2", had a 9.87 raw athletic score. He had 2 defensive touchdowns this year. He's a playmaker. He has the range to be a single high safety, but I don't think he's got the discipline to. He had way too many busted coverage assignments at Baylor. He does have great ball skills. He has 9 interceptions in the last 2 years. He's a little bit indecisive at times. Maybe it's not so much indecision. Maybe he just kind of likes to sit back because he knows he has the recovery speed to get a late start. I'm not sure what it is there, but he is not a good tackler. Biggest thing he's going to have to work on is his tackling skills and those recognition skills. But he's got all the athletic traits. He would be worth it for an early day 3 flyer, and that's kind of where I have him, is in that round 4 to 5 range. All right. Well, that's about going to wrap up our safety rankings here. Dives, before we get out of here, I can't talk today. You got any final thoughts for us?
You can find me for the next couple hours until Eva wakes up in bed, taking medicine. That's about it for me. This was not a good idea. I'm definitely I was getting super dizzy during the show. Bad decision.
You guys have heard of Michael Jordan's flu game. This is Dibe's cold podcast, and it is every bit as impressive as a feat. So you guys give Dibes a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Give the Painted Lines a follow. Give the podcast a follow. We're here delivering for you guys every single week. We will be back next week with another position ranking for an undisclosed position. If you need some more in the meantime, go on YouTube and check out the 3-round mock draft that Mark, Dibes, Rob, and I each did last week. Make sure you vote mine the best. It was the best. But we'll go from there. So thank you guys, as always, for joining us for episode number 51 of Chalk Talk. If you enjoy what you heard on the show, and we know that you, be sure you smash that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode. Drop us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. You can follow Dibes at Mr. Crockpot. So from me, from Dibes, from the Painted Lines, we'll see you guys next time.